there is an experience now of a lot of anger towards the ego, because it's the arrogant way of thinking, the arrogance of the ego, and it causes a huge powerless feeling. There is a huge feeling of being forced into a very unwanted role, and then it's realized that that is just happening the way it appears, and the ego isn't agreeing with that, with what is it is. Again, very frustrating. Yeah, it's like the ego is having an argument with the ego. So you've got like the ego, and then you've got part of the ego that's like angry with the ego for being forced into a role. So it's all part of that same energy, and all of it's being watched. The freedom comes in seeing that which is watching the ego, not from fixing, but you can find a lot of relief from fixing the ego. You know, like the ego can get itself into a right tiswaz. So if you find in your day-to-day life there's the most of your life is not set up the way you want, then you can like go to a psychologist, you could go to an energy worker, you could go to lots of different people. You could also book a session with me to look at why a life is manifesting that you don't want, what's happening inside the ego for that to happen, and working that out and understanding that can change it and relax it, and that anger can dissipate. And then when there's not so much force on the focus on the anger, because the anger becomes really tense and there's lots of contraction, there's lots of seeking there, and when that relaxes, then non-duality can maybe be heard more. I don't know how to say that correctly, but if you imagine the ego like clouds, and like when you're angry it's like a really dense thunderstorm, and then the consciousness is the light shining through. Like when there's this dense thunderstorm, like all the focus is on that, and as the clouds get thinner and dissipate, then light can shine through easier. And it's not that you need to fix the ego or get rid of it in order to know yourself, it's just, I think it helps take the focus off all the suffering inside the body and inside the person, and the longing for change and the seeking. And as that's reduced, then there's something else that can be known. I mean, that's not quite right, but it's like, it's near enough, you know. I can't really put that in words correctly, but it's near enough. I hope that makes sense, Lana. So anger is normally connected to the solar plexus. That's another thing you could do on the human level, is explore the solar plexus and look things up for the solar plexus on the internet. Thanks, Lana.